Right. So how's everybody today? How you doing? Great. Emma, I can't see you. Is that on purpose?
It is. I'm sorry.
That's all right. For the benefit of everyone else,
Surrounded by a lot of mess.
that's all right. Emma is actually the artist who drew the back of the book.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
Lovely.
So yeah, we used to work together. So it's great. Okay. So without much ado, can I ask who's had a chance to read the book?
I've dipped in and out. I haven't read it as, the whole thing.
Okay.
Same here. I've dipped in and out, read some
I
poetry.
have, yeah.
Yeah.
Haven't read it through yet, Frank.
That's great. And it kind of, in a way, it's not a book to be read.
No.
Yeah, it's kind of more to work through and kind of pick through it and see what lands and kind of reflect on it, really.
But it's close by. It is close by, Frank. Very close by.
Hello, Emma. How are you?
Me, Emma. Oh, another Emma.
No, that's another Emma. This is Emma Abel.
Hello.
How are you, my dear? You all right?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. I was just asking about people's experience of the book, really, if they've read it, and we were just talking about. Yeah, I mean, have you managed to have a look at all?
No, I haven't. I was trying to get another one finished first, and then I wanted to give him my full attention, so I haven't yet.
Yeah, me too.
Great.
So sorry, that's probably not a great answer to start with.
Hey, the truth is the best answer.
There we go. Thank you for that.
It's the best answer. I wanted the live event really is about experiencing the book together and kind of giving an opportunity really to because it's a living book in a way, because yes, there's poems in there, but the poems themselves are just prompts to kind of create a space for potential of insight, which in itself then breeds transformation as required, really. That it's that thing of, once you've seen something, can you unsee it? And when you do see it, what does that then inspire in you, and what transforms? And as I promised, really, my plan is really to do some readings from the book, give some background, some stories that underpin it. But also, I'm very much interested in the stuff that you have read, really, to hear what your experiences have been with the book. I'm going to start by giving an update on, like I've made it known, really, the proceeds from the book are going towards 5 charities that I'm supporting. And those charities will benefit from every book that you wonderful people have helped buy. And one of the beautiful things about it was I actually asked my publisher, I said, how many books have we sold? Because I'd like to let people know how we're doing. And she sent me the figures for December. And I think if I remember correctly, we sold about 60 books or thereabouts, which I think is amazing, considering we only had half of December to actually do that, because it didn't come out to 16th of December. I haven't yet received the January figures, so I'm hoping that would add to that. But I'm going to be completely honest with you, the mind started playing with me at that point, because the mind started going, oh, but we've got a target of 1 million and we've only just done, now we've got a couple of £100 now, but the target is 1 million. How long is it going to take us?
There's nowhere warm, so I'm just going to sit on the bed.
Sorry? Is it Norma? You might need to go on mute.
There's nowhere warm for me to be, is there?
Norma, you might want to go on mute.
No, I'm going to the bedroom, darling. It's all right, no big deal.
Right, we've muted Norma. Right, so, but it was interesting. Like I said, I caught myself, the brain does this to us. It likes to compare, and it likes to come up with stories about what's happening. And our brain started going, yeah, but that's slightly disappointing. Wouldn't it be nice if that was much more? And then I remembered this poem in the book, page 114, The Ripple. Here's what he says. We are the ones, we're in the greatest field of service, helping others live a fuller life, which in that quote, I was talking more about coaching and helping people see things that they might not be seeing. And here's the poem. It says, making the world a better place, one person at a time. Once the pebble drops, the ripple starts. No control over how far it goes. That's the way influence grows. Completely out of control. Start one now. And when you think about it, that's just beautiful, because that's telling the story about all we can do is start a ripple. And to appreciate that that ripple grows a person at a time. And that we don't get to control how it grows. We don't get to control the pace at which it grows. We don't get to control how far it grows. Our bit is just to start. And that brought me back to myself, because then I thought, yeah, we've started a ripple. We already raised nearly £500 for good causes. One person at a time. And I'd like to thank everybody who's bought a copy for that, because that's all we can do, is just, you know, keep spreading that word, keep doing what we know to do, and let the rest take care of itself. There's enough happening in the world than for us to be carrying the weight of trying to control what we're not in control of. Has anybody else read that, or has anything else land as we read that, the ripple?
I think that's brilliant, Frank. Thank you for that share. And I think for turning that around, that thought, because we all have that, you can call it gremlin, self-sabotage, saboteur, limiting assumptions, and concentrate on, you know, only 60, or, oh my God, that's amazing, we sold 60, not thinking about the target, because as you say, one step at a time, because that's what our mind can do to us. It's like, do we concentrate on what we believe is the negative, or do we concentrate on the positive, which will, either one, whichever we concentrate on grows. So if you're concentrating on thanking the 60 people and thinking about them and how their lives are changing, and that ripple effect even for them, saying, oh, I've got this book and this can, you know, and then they go out and buy it, and it's that ripple effect, and one does it never underestimate the impact one person can have, and one book can have, and how it can change one person's life, and that person, it's the contagion effect. It's like, yeah. So that's what I'm trying to say, not very articulately. And I guess it's like anything, being aware of what's going on in our mind. There's something deeper going on when we have a thought about anything, but I think it's well done on the creativity of it and everything. So yeah, it is concentrating on 60 people have bought it and are benefiting from it, and yeah, it'll grow.
Yeah, there's certainly something to that. Anyone else wanted to say something about that?
I think, Frank, it's just the start, because like you said, you only had just it only was sort of mid-December, and we haven't even got stuck into the, well, I haven't got stuck into the book yet, and I think it's just the start of the ripple. Yeah, definitely. And I think that's it really. And I was kind of just pointing to that, owning all you can do is do what makes sense to you to do right now. You start the ripple, whatever your ripple is. And really, we're all making ripples, because people are watching you, whether you realize it or not. People are being inspired by you, whether you like it, whether you recognize it or not. And just by being true and authentic to who you are, you're starting your own ripple.
Sorry, I think if it feels like a really timely reflection for me, and I apologize, I'm just out walking at the moment. I'm trying to get some lunch, so I'll have to turn my camera off as well. But no, I think it's easy to lose sight of that ripple effect, isn't it? So that's a really great reminder. You know, I think about some work that I've been doing, and you know, it feels like progress is so slow, or that, you know, it's not making the difference that I want it to make to people. But it's also the reminder that, you know, actually you don't see those ripples, do you? Once it goes once removed from you, then you might not directly see that, but they are there, aren't they? And what you're saying and doing is starting to make a difference to people, and it's a good reminder of that. So thank you, Frank. I do always love listening to you read these poems, and they always resonate. So that's another excuse for not reading the books. I'm just listening to you instead. But I will get there.
I'm not too sure on that one.
No. Well, and actually, I was talking to a couple of people that you do know, Frank, about starting off almost like a mini book club, and we were talking about your book and saying that we should, you know, take that time to read them out loud, because, you know, I think you get so much power from hearing them as well as reading them and discussing them.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for that share, Emma. And I love the bit you said about the ripple starts and you can't necessarily see all the parts of the ripple, because it's kind of almost going further and further away from you. And I think that's a brilliant reflection. And I think it's also something to do about being in the moment and living in the moment and experiencing the moment, rather than letting the mind pull you out of the moment and take you either back or take you way beyond where you're not there. You can only live the present moment. You can't live any more than the present moment. It's all you ever
and
get.
maybe just trusting it as well, Frank.
Yeah.
Trusting that those ripples are happening.
Yeah, I love that.
Oh, I love that.
Someone's going to say something on that? Emma?
No, I just said I love that too.
Yeah.
Trust. I love that, because there is an element of that to it, isn't there? You just got to just trust it and let it go and do its thing.
Yeah, indeed. So I mean, that was my first reflection on there. The other thing I wanted to really put on the table was this whole, that the book itself is almost, in a way, like I was saying, it's a living book from the point of fact that they're inspirations that came from my experience. But I honestly do believe that we as human beings have shared experience of the dynamics there. And one of the big things for me, as I said in the book, was that a lot of what you see in this book, I probably wouldn't have come to by way of ease or comfort. And Tamsin, who was kind of here at the beginning, heard when I was playing a track from the Hamilton soundtrack, where he was talking about the unimaginable. And it's about this guy Hamilton, who's part of American history. You can go and look him up. He was driven, and he was so driven that he never stopped to find what he had or what was good about what he had, until he lost a son. And when he lost the son was the first time he actually stopped and began to really look at life and really begin to contemplate. And it is through that contemplation that he reconnected with the beauty of where he was and who he had and what he had. He had a wonderful wife and everything, but he had an affair, and then he encouraged his son to have a duel, and his son got killed in the duel. But my point is, what looked like pretty much disaster, which is why it's described as unimaginable, ultimately was the turning point for him to really connect with what was there and begin another chapter of his life where he lived it slightly differently. And in a way, this book came out of something similar for me, in that I'd bought into the idea of success as we know it. And I'm going to read a piece that talks about that definition, because make no bones about this, I play games with you in this book, because I give you one impression, but then I hit you with what you might call the punchline. And I'm going to read the punchline of the book because I think it's important. This piece is called Mythical Beast. Searching for that mythical beast. Without it, I'm told I can't be complete. This is page 188, in case you're planning to look and follow me in it. I'll start again, just in case you are. Page 188, Mythical Beast. Searching for that mythical beast. Without it, I'm told I can't be complete. With all others, I must compete to find that which has been missing of me. Untold harm incurred in its pursuit. Banks emptied, souls vanquished. Once their relationships laid to waste. No rest for the soul that yearns to be filled. Countless people line well-worn paths. Some crawl, some walk, while others fly. United in that seemingly never-ending quest, bent on finding and taming this elusive beast. Come what may, no matter the cost, the promise of utopia thrills the drive. This many people just can't be wronged, all hell bent in service of filling the void. Each step I take seems to bring me close, till right before my eyes it seems to mutate. Perchance the description given crafted to mislead. I dared not quit failure, the antithesis of what I seek. Some days I arise feeling like this could be the one. Catch up with the beast that fits the bill. But the promised utopia fails to persist. Like the great Houdini, it eludes my grip. Surrendered to my fate, it never to find. Taming that mythical beast was never mine. Returning home in despair only to find the beast was always here and I was it. Before I say anything about how that relates, what do you hear there? What is that beast, that mythical beast for you?
When you were reading it, I thought was jealousy the beast, when you're sort of looking at what other people have and what you want. Never satisfied, always wanting this and that. I thought it could have been jealousy or maybe greed.
I like that observation. Anybody else?
Okay, for me, it comes across as a quest for wealth and affluence and popularity and fame, and, you know, things that people tend to want to pursue, you know, in life. Just that quest for just going for the wealth or the money and affluence. And the greed that comes with it.
Thank you. Anybody else want to have a go at that?
Well, for me, it's kind of like that, I suppose, going along, like that happiness, that's something that's out of your reach, but sometimes you feel it or you think you found it, but then it eludes you, basically. It's so that quest in life that we want to feel fulfilled, or whatever it is that helps us feel fulfilled.
Yeah. Thank you very much for that. So I wrote that as Mythical Beast. So my story here is, like I said, the book you're looking at came out of the story of the situation I had where I wanted to be successful. So if you look at the first letter of all those verses and put them together, it spells success. And you're right, Tricia, the way people define that is different. And going back to Dukma as well, what you were saying, how people define that. For some people, that's lots of money, lots of fame, lots of whatever. And ultimately for me, it was this idea is, I want to do a lot of good in the world. And I believe the way to achieve that is not to have a job and to earn so much money that I can afford to do what I want and not have to work, which in itself, financial independence, as they call it, in itself is not an issue. But my definition of what that looked like was that I needed to have all this money. I needed all these trappings so that I could make a difference in the world. The interesting thing for me was every time I came across something where someone promised that this is the thing, if you do this thing, if you run this system, if you this will do it for you, I always found a way to mess it up. Even if lots of people were making money from it, in my case, I'll probably be the one person who would lose money from it. So ultimately, actually, at the end of where I was, I actually ended up nearly bankrupt, literally nearly bankrupt. So which is quite interesting considering my plan is to acquire wealth. And I ended up right at the opposite side of the spectrum of almost being at the end of financial road. However, what I discovered is exactly what I mentioned there in the third verse, that it's only until I surrendered that quest that I realized that the beast was always here and I was it. So then I recognized that what I bought into was this idea that success was something you went to get. Success is something that's outside of you. That success is experienced from the outside in. That if you got these things in your life, then you can say you're a success. Because it's based on the paradigm that is what's outside of me that creates my experience. But actually my experience is created from within me. And it's the idea that to manifest your path to joy, peace, and contentment is not to go and acquire stuff. It's to realize that what you're trying to acquire exists within you already. And if you get out of the way and see beyond the tricks of the mind, actually you begin to experience it. You got that look in your eye, Trish.
I think that's brilliant. I love that definition of what the reason was because you were talking and it just reminded me of obviously the last day on my barefoot training course where we were doing the like what do you want from life, you know, that kind of going forward. And I said, I want to be a successful coach. And the coach who was coaching me said, what's your definition of success? And I was like, oh, I never thought about that before. You know, that different perspective, that new way of thinking about it. And I had to really think, what would that mean? What would it look like when you became a successful coach? What would be happening, you know? So, but again, when you have those limiting beliefs, like that you won't get there in a way. But so yeah, just hearing you speak about success as the mythical beast and how we we sometimes go outside ourselves, but actually we have to kind of go out inside ourselves and know what's going on in our mind and what's hindering us and what will serve us to, but also defining it, which can, I suppose, can change as we go through life as well. But yeah, so a great food for thought there, Frank.
You're welcome. Anybody else on that?
Frank,
yeah,
please can you repeat the last line?
Sure. The last line, the beast was always here and I was it.
It really is food for thought, isn't it?
Yeah. We are success going somewhere to happen. We're not looking for success. This moment that we're sharing together is success. Because it's what we have. We have each other and we have now to be and to experience what's unfolding for us in this moment. And the mind is what takes us out of the moment and puts you in the regret of the past or the anticipation of the future. And that's why you never find it, because you're looking for something that is not lost. It's not lost. It's just the experience and the expression of it. I'd like to go to, because this particular live event was to focus on the first part of the book, just to follow those who are kind of following it through. And just to reflect on, this is a framework. So dream spells a framework, and the D stands for discovery, knowing where you are. And again, the piece I played at the beginning, where this man finally came to know, Hamilton finally came to know where he was. For me, getting to know where I was, it is exemplified by a particular piece I put in there. It's page 10, Sleepwalking. I'll read it for you. Sleepwalking. Just kept walking. As time after time, I keep slumping. Life's day-to-day needs navigating. Sudden thud, and I'm sleepwalking no more. Pieces of me in crisis sprawled across the floor. Awake to what passed me by, the dreams left behind in places long forgotten, gasping for air in spaces confined, seeking release with keys stuck under piles of hats not long been juggled. Sands draining, not much remaining. What say you start living awake from sleepwalking? To live the life eyes wide open, no longer unconscious but breathing. Smelling the roses, basking in the light, savoring the moments when magic happens. Living alive, feeling and thriving. Memories made no longer retracting, inspiring others to awaken from sleepwalking.
Mm.
What comes up from that? I'm just gonna fix my video here, it's gone a bit blurry. What do you hear?
For me, the most prominent, the ones that hit hard, the last two lines of the first verse, sudden thud and I'm sleepwalking no more, pieces of me in crisis sprawled across the floor. That really like resonates. They're powerful words there. Just hit home to me. That yeah, I agree that a lot of human beings, as you know, we're walking around like zombies in a way. We're not in the moment. We're not in the here and now. We're not in our body, in our heart, in our mind. We're not using our whole, us as a whole entity. We're kind of separating ourselves. And sometimes crisis point can hit basically. We're like that sleepwalking in life, really, not living, surviving maybe physically, maybe not and thriving emotionally or whatever. And we're not self-aware, self-understanding until that kind of pieces of me in crisis sprawled across the floor until crisis point hits. So it's actually quite powerful. Just, and then at the end, memories made no longer retracting, inspiring others to awaken from sleepwalking. So it's a bit like my own journey, as you know, just telling that story of one story, and then that possibility, the light of hope and possibility, and that there's another way of thinking and being than the way that we're so used to doing, really, so fantastic.
Yeah, I love that reflection. Dupa, were you going to say something?
No, I was just listening and taking it in.
Yeah. Anybody else on that one? Sleepwalking?
Well, I really agree with Trish's reflection. It is a really powerful one, and you can really sort of relate to it.
I think that's the gift of crisis sometimes, is the ability to wake you up, to recognize that. And a bit of it is that I think some of us don't think we deserve to thrive. that the best we can look forward to in life is just to survive. And I think, yeah, Trish, I love what you say about that, inspiring others to awaken from sleepwalking. You could say, actually, that's what this all is about. It's to say, actually, life doesn't have to just be. And again, I don't want people to hear I'm saying your life is not good as it is. That's not my point. My point is, actually, your life could be beautiful if you were looking at it in a completely different way, right? It's not about, a big message of mine is it's not about trying to wait till you radically change all your outside circumstances. And then, because that's just falling into the same trap. Is how do you experience what you already have right now in the best possible way? Anybody else on that?
I think the other trick is not falling back into sleepwalking as well once you've had that crisis and awakening, which is something that I can see that I've fallen into that, as I'm sure many people do. So there's that constant roundabout of reawakening and hitting the crisis, but then going back to sleep. So that's something that I've observed just this week, actually, and that poem and the discussion following that has helped me reflect on that. It's quite interesting.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that, Emma. And I'd like to kind of take you up on that a bit, actually. Let's have a look at something I use, the quote I used to start the discovery section. It says, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. When the student is truly ready, the teacher will disappear. So the thought I want to offer, Emma, is potentially you're waking up in different parts of your life to different degrees. But every time you see what you'd not seen before, it's a gift.
I love that. Yeah, I think that's really, yeah, absolutely true. You know, I think about how I've been on the roller coaster that is life that we all do, and you know, just becoming more aware of different things and just that realization that we're just continually on a learning journey. And yeah, no, really good reflection back to me. Thank you, Frank.
Yeah, you're welcome. Yeah. And I find that personally as well, that sometimes we kind of don't appreciate those little gifts that, like, actually before I wouldn't have noticed, that would just happen. I'll just be, but now actually I can see it. And because I can see it, I see it. And the seeing, there's a power. I remember the story, they talk about a village where there was an alarm raised because they thought there was a big snake in the square, and then the light comes and they realize there's just a big rope that's been, you know, that's been sprawled across there. And it's kind of, once you recognize it's a rope, even if the light then goes out again, you're not afraid of it in the same way, because you know that's just the rope. It may feel like something else, but it's just the rope. And I think that's just beautiful.
I love that too. Thank you again. Yeah, that's a really great story, and absolutely true. I think, you know, personally this week I've had some challenges this week, but the recognition and reflection of certain responses from me are certainly from those lessons that I've learned. Yeah, that's a really nice story about the rope and the snake.
Trish, were you going to say something? Thanks, Emma.
I just wanted to share something that just along this line that happened this morning. A client I've been working with who's done so well and had kind of tendencies of, I suppose, you know, worrying, hyper vigilant, we'll say, and came to a stage months ago, you know, that she was ready to change, and she was ready. She just didn't want to, it was weighing her down. And she's done such great work, and she like, her testimony is like, you're my soul doctor or whatever. It's a bit, you know, but she told me this morning that she has her friend she was talking to who is kind of going, you've changed. What's going on with you? What has this lady done to you? Who is this? What is this coach? And she was laughing about it, but she was like, you know, this, she said, I have recommended you to her, you know, because she has her own issues, but until you're ready to see, but to think she's looking at her and she's like, you don't worry anymore. What's going on with you? What? So all the things that she's let go of, that she's happy about, her friend is looking at her going, there's something, there's something odd. But again, this way of thinking is so inherent, it's so deep inside that it's like there is no other way. But she said she actually has been discussing it a bit more. She's opening up. And my friend was saying, I just want her to open up to the possibility, but in an easy, gentle way, not in a forceful way like you should. And I was saying, you have to be careful of the whole should and ought to and all of this, because it doesn't help really. It causes more stress, if anything. But in time, she is asking more about it, but yet being a little bit like, what's going on with you? So I just think that's funny, because everyone's on their own journey, and everyone, when they're ready, they're ready. And when the time is for them to see a different perspective and see a more positive option. But yeah, we were laughing about it, as in that she's very happy with the changes she's made in her life, but other people look on going, you've changed, what's going on,
Yeah, thank you very much for that. Yeah, and that there was something I put in the email. Those who are on the mailing list would have seen this, and I thought it's a very interesting thing. I'm going to read it again. You cannot transform what you cannot see, but once you see it, there's nothing to transform. It just happens. And it says this because insight is the door to transformation. And the beauty of that is, and I think because it's that simple, we don't believe it. Right? Do you see what I'm saying? But like you rightfully say, there comes a time in each person's life where they're ready to see something different. Now, for some people, it takes a crisis. Some people, it takes a bigger crisis than the one they currently got. I mean, some people, the one they've currently got is enough for them to ask the questions that cause them to look differently. We can never control any of that. We can only create an environment. And that's what I'm hoping to do with the book, really, is that it creates an environment where people read stuff. You could read it today and it doesn't chime. You could read it tomorrow and it hits a completely different chord because you're in a different place. Your brain is seeing something different. Your mind is somewhere else. So there is no such thing as it's just the once. Right? It's something that you can go back to over and over again. And which leads me to ask the question, really, so in what you've engaged in the book so far, does anybody want to share anything that they've received from that, or any insight that's come from it, or any particular piece chime with you more than others that you would want to reflect on?
Frank?
Yeah.
Yeah, you on the Gary thing that I listened to, that interview you were on.
Yeah,
I think it was, you had something, one of your it's probably not in the right bit of the book.
Yeah.
Something about the dance.
Oh yeah. Oh,
You're quoting from that.
Okay.
And I wouldn't mind you talking a bit about that, and maybe coming back to that, or will that fit with where you want to take this today?
No, I'm not taking you anywhere. I'm here to participate with you in what
yeah, it was just that.
Yeah. So yeah, let's look at the dance, because I think that's a good piece, actually. And interesting enough, that piece actually came from an amalgamation of feedback I got from people I coached. So this is their testimony of the experience they had, which I put together in a poem. So this is page 203 for those who want to follow in the book. The piece is called The Dance. Welcome. Step in. This space belongs to you. To unpack the stories, the ones that shaped you. To venture down paths less trodden. To explore landscapes from heights rarely reached. The bird's eye view of what there is. To start the journey to where you want to get to. Let's make this space safe, as confidential as can be. One that works for you with unconditional positive regard. No judgment from me, so you never have to worry about showing the true you. A quiet hush fills the room. Where would you like to begin? The floor is yours. I ask, you speak. As you speak, I listen. As the answers pour out of you, I hear you. I see you. I support. I challenge. Space and time feels endless as we go even deeper, right to the roots. Trusting instincts, being ever present, reflecting back what I see, all unraveling in real time. Our only plan to respond to what shows up, the pathway opens up for us to take, venturing to see where it leads. Listening intently, responding truly, engaging fully, embracing the not knowing. In hindsight, we arrive to destinations beyond your desires, because we dared to trust, responding to what's birth of the moment in the magic of the dance.
Yeah, I really love that, Frank. It's such a beautiful piece of writing and perfectly describes the space if you come from a coaching perspective of it's not about advice, it's not about how to get from A to B. I mean, that is, but that's not transformational coaching, like you say. And I love that you say the insight's the door to transformation. And it's funny, you don't actually reference the dance, you just end on the dance. And I love that, because it is really the dance between sort of, there's so many ways the way the dance works, because it works between the coach and the person. And the coach, the only thing to do is show up and listen. That's it. And there's no strategies, no techniques, no advice to be given or any of that. And that's what's so beautiful. And so the other person then dances with you in that relationship, but also that whole idea of the space is just such an amazing space. And it's much more, I think you said something like embracing or embracing the unknown. Whereas, you know, so many coaching experiences can begin with, okay, so, you know, you've got to prepare, you're seeing a client, you know, what were they doing yesterday? Where do they want to get to? It's all totally irrelevant, because what's real is what's happening with that dance with the moment, that dance with the unknown, that dance with really listening. And just finally, the thing I really thought was that dance between, that whole dance between, we live in our human and we live, you know, and we live in the unknown, where it's enough just to show up, nothing on our mind. And that's the space. And it's not one's better or worse, it's just the dance between the two. And anyway, it's just a really beautiful poem. I think you capture it really well, Frank.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Trish, did you have something on that?
I agree with Tam. I think it's a lovely piece of writing, and it just proves that you, like, it just shows that you are very aware of the coaching space and the safe and everything you bring in, the unconditional positive regard, no judgment for me, dancing in the moment, letting the coach be here and now in the present moment. And like Tam said, there's no, I used to be, when I started coaching, that feeling of preparing, but I know it was the lack of confidence in me and that feeling like I'm going to screw up here and I'm not going to have the right question. And I, you know, but in actual fact, it's a beautiful thing. And what I've learned in my experience is just sometimes even for people to be there and to know, they know you're there with no judgment, no criticism. They trust you, they trust the process. Then they trust themselves because of that. They trust the process because of it. And they always leave feeling great. I mean, you know, it's like, you know, you've done a job in itself, a good act for being there. But I think this poem, if anything, just explains the process so beautifully, and that you are quite aware of what's happening as a coach. And I think it just shines a fantastic light for you, but anyone working with you will know they get that space, you know?
Yeah, and in a way, that's the beauty of where we are. I'm going to say two things. One is, I couldn't create this kind of space before the crisis I experienced. because my mindset then was, well, you make your own life, you make your own luck. And if anybody's life is messed up, it's because they're just not on it. However, by the time I'd been through that experience, I realized we're all a couple of decisions away from ending up somewhere else. And actually what we consider to be disaster or crisis is all part of the answer. Because what I then recognized in retrospect was when I put my intention out into the world and into the universe to say, I want to help people, it's like the universe goes, oh, that's great. Oh yeah, let's start here, shall we? Let's learn what actually is this about. And my going through crisis was my learning of this is the shared human connection and condition, not this story that you've been telling yourself that you've got your act together and you're better than this person and you're this, that, and the other. Because there's no way I'm giving anybody unconditional positive regard where they haven't been through what I've been through, because I would have been judgmental and kind of thinking, while they're talking to me, I wouldn't be in the moment. I'll be thinking, yeah, but if you'd only done that and that, you'd be fine. Blah, 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 blah. Or, oh yeah, you're probably just weak. That's why that's like that and stuff like that. By the time I realized I thought I had it together, I went through that experience, then I recognized, you know what? All our stories are interlinked one way or the other. Let's hold each other with love, because that's what I would have wanted someone to hold me with when I was going through what I was going through, and helping give perspective to people. So that is one. Second thing I want to say is the space we're in right now is a testament to this whole dynamic of the dance, because there was no fixed agenda for this space. But yet, how many times have we heard people say, oh, it's funny that you mentioned that because just this morning, this happened. Oh, it's funny that you mentioned that this week, this happened. And that is the dance of us and the universe, because again, the other, how would I call it, punchline to the book is that we are not here to create something that doesn't exist. We're here to participate in the unfolding of something that is already in motion. And all we need to do is get out of the way and just be and be open, and it will express itself. Just like this moment is expressing itself the way it needs to express itself. That the people who are here in this call are the ones who need to be here. And whatever is happening here is what needs to happen. Anybody else on the dance?
Well said there. Well said, all of that. The 2 points you made are very valid. The other thing I just wanted to mention was that lady I spoke to about this morning, the client who has done so well, actually said, I thought coaching was BS basically until I met you. And now to me, that's amazing that somebody can have this perception of something out there and think it's all airy-fairy and all, and then actually go through it and feel so like it was a game changer, life changer. So this poem to me can also help people to understand the coaching space, because there's so much in it that we've, that was part of our training and what's great in the coaching space. So when you think about writing, and as you know, I write myself, and writing stuff that gives that message that to somebody who doesn't know about the coaching space, that this is what you're getting. No judgment. I'm listening to you. It's your space. It's safe. And, and I think that's amazing as well. Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And that's what I hope it does, to be honest. It's the reason I wrote it, is because I thought, well, this is great feedback. What would that look like as a piece to say, would you like to come and dance? Would you like to come and dance and see what happens? And people are generally always amazed, because again, we don't need to go and change everything out there. It's just how we're looking at it, it's how we're experiencing it. It's the seeing, and that's the power of transformation. We've got 10 minutes left, or 5 minutes if I want to stick to my time actually. Is there any other piece you'd like to hear and reflect on?
For me, the little poem called Dreams is small but beautiful, and I think is it 78?
You want to read it out for us? It'd be nice to hear someone else read for a change.
Hold on till I find it. So dreams,
Yeah.
The birthplace of all reality. Not every dream becomes reality, but there is no reality that did not first start as a dream. Dream on and create the opportunity for endless possibilities to create new realities. Short, sweet, and says a lot. It just makes you feel like, yeah, we can dream. There's different types of dreams, like the daydreaming, the dreaming, just going into that inner world. But not all of them become reality, but not all of them are meant to become reality, because sometimes we need to kind of let go and let life unfold and not get too consumed with attached to the end result, because sometimes life is not from A to B in one line. It can be zigzag. And it's what I love about my new life and my new me is that letting go and that meandering and that feeling. And I've spoken to so many people who said, you know, I started off thinking I do this, but then this happened and this happened. And that beautiful dream that hasn't got a start and an end has kind of got a journey in it in itself. If I'm explaining myself well enough, I just think it's a lovely one about just having your dream and fulfilling it, but not being too attached, because it may not, the end result in your dream may not be exactly the reality. And what is reality?
Yeah, that's beautiful. Actually, you just remind me of another piece. But before I read that, let me go to what you were saying. Part of the inspiration behind that piece was to release people to have fun with the idea of just dreaming, just coming up with different things, and not feeling you have to pay a price for if it doesn't, like you say, become a reality. It's the fun of it, because some of it may do, some of it may not, but what does it matter? Just have fun with it. And here's what's also interesting about that. And this is, again, what proves my whole paradigm of experiences created from inside out. Do you know that if you allow yourself to dream and imagine yourself in the manifestation of that dream, whatever it is you're experiencing in that moment, just because you've locked onto that, that experience is not coming from anything that's happened out there, because nothing's actually happened out there. It comes from you. It comes from within you. So all the experiences we're aspiring to have, that we have attached stories to, that we need certain things to occur before we can experience them, is not true. Because if we imagine that it's happened, we can begin to experience that. Therefore, it means those experiences exist already from within us. So I wanted to kind of offer that out. So the piece that I thought of when you were speaking was this one called The Land of Travel. And that's page 172, if people want to follow on with it. That's the beauty of the book actually being out there. People can follow. Right. So it's called Land of Travel. You traveled near, you traveled far, you traveled here, you traveled there. You've pretty much traveled everywhere. You still haven't found what you're looking for, the utopia at the end of the galactical rainbow. In anticipation of the great climax reserved for the place called there, perchance you may have missed the land of travel itself. Each interaction a journey, each new culture a revelation, exploring differences as sameness, experiencing the joy of serendipity as the universe surprises you in ways only it can do. Every day created anew to experience. When next asked where you need to get to, you can answer, I don't very much care. I'm in the greatest destination of all. Tam, you had a big smile on your face there. Do you want to share with us?
That is so, are you talking, were you saying to me?
Tam, and then we'll come.
No, go on, Trish, go on.
Sorry, Tam, I wasn't sure. Do you want to go?
No, you go, Trish, you go.
I've never had that one before, and I didn't see it in the book when I was flicking through, but
Right.
It's amazing. I was talking about the dreams, and it reminds you that I have spent my life traveling, right? From a young age, traveling, wanting to go, wanting to find new places, explore, a bit of a philosopher, a bit of wanting to see the world. But in the last few years, I've come into myself as in, again, if you're traveling to explore and obviously see the beauty, great. But it's kind of that old-fashioned term when I was growing up, to take a year or take time out to find yourself. You know, but now you could say, well, to create yourself or recreate yourself or to go within. But it was merely traveling, really. I wanted to find something externally. But in the last few years, my journey has stopped kind of physically traveling. The need to physically travel, because I've traveled within and I found, I wrote recently, like, my poems have taken me to places, within myself that I was trying to find in a way outside myself for years. That I've seen beautiful places around the world, but my poems have taken me to beautiful places within me, because my creative writing and my poetry has helped me to surface what was going on. So I just think that poem, fantastic.
Thank you so much for sharing. Tam, what were you going to say?
I just love that right at the end you say, and I don't much care. So it's about, you know, I love the idea of the dreaming, but it's not dreaming as we think about it, like we go to bed and dream. It's not about that, because actually everything's a dream. Because everything's created from the inside out anyway. There is no anything out there apart from what goes, if you like, filtered through your own perspective and thought process. So that's the other side of, I think it said something about the universe. There was a line, the serendipity, which is of course what we were just saying, that once you set your direction, it's about, and what Trish had said, it's about not getting caught up, although of course, you know, it's a very human thing to want to own it and make it work, and you know, and as soon as you're into that feeling, you've lost it. You're going in the wrong direction. So I love that idea. So really, that's back to another description of the dance. And
I'll read that line again. Experiencing the joy of serendipity as the universe surprises you.
Exactly. And that's it. That's it. And it's just trusting that. So actually what you're doing, or the steps you're taking, or the content, I don't really care. Like you say, it's not relevant. It's waking up every day and thinking, wow, you know, almost like, I wonder what, that, you know, that lovely Winnie the Pooh quote, I wonder what exciting things are going to happen today. And it's one of my favorite, because it's just, let's see. And you really capture that well. I love that, Frank. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we're out of time. I've got to jump onto another call now, but it's been beautiful sharing this moment with you all.
It's lovely.
It's so great, and thank you for participating, and keep spreading the word, and hopefully next time we come together we'll have more of our experiences to share of the book.
Read some more. And nice to meet you, Trish.
Nice to meet you, Tam. Nice to meet everyone.
And everyone.
Nice to meet you.
Bye.
Take care. Bye. Have a good day.
Bye.